Okay. If set S contains 12 numbers, what is the standard deviation of the numbers in set S? Okay. Statement number 1 says, the sum of any two numbers from set S is 0. Well, you can say all the numbers must be 0, because the sum is 0. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. Okay. Now, what if you were thinking maybe it can be a number and a negative number? For example, 2 and minus 2. Okay, but there are 12 numbers. Now, what does that mean? They can't all be 2 and minus 2, right? Because although the sum is 0, the key word here is any. Okay, any two numbers. That means that I must also be able to take, for example, this pair and say that the sum is 0. Okay, but that is not true because the sum is 4. Therefore, I cannot use a number and the negative of that number. Okay, this cannot be. The only way that this can happen, statement number 1, is that all the numbers are 0. And if all the numbers are 0, they are all the same. And when all the numbers in a set are the same, the standard deviation is 0. Okay, so that's sufficient. Statement number 1 is sufficient. Okay, statement number 2 says the product of any two numbers from the set is 0. Okay, now there's a subtle change here. The product. You might be thinking, well, it must happen the same way as in statement 1. All the numbers must be 0 because 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 is 0. Okay, and well, you cannot use a number in the negative because the product is not 0. But there is an exception here. What if all the numbers are 0 except 1? Only 1. For example, that number, let's call it 5. It still makes the statement true because if you take any pair of numbers, the product is going to be 0, right? If you take 5 with any of the other numbers, the product is also going to be 0. So the statement is true, but in this case, the standard deviation is not 0. And we can say, okay, what if every number is 0? Then the standard deviation is 0. So we have two answers. Not sufficient. It wanted to appear kind of sufficient, but there is the exception. So the answer would be A.